Deputy Senator McDowell, followed by Deputy O'Sullivan.
Thank you. Welcome to the Minister. Could I ask you a number of questions? Firstly, is it the case that people who are granted refugee status, once they are granted it, are free to travel backwards and forwards to the country of origin where they came from in the first place, without control? Secondly, you mentioned, well, I mean, obviously there's control at an airport, but I mean, are they free to enter and re-enter their country of origin and come back come back to Ireland, or is a check kept on that? Secondly, could I ask the Minister? He mentions that 2,846 deportation orders have been made this year. How many voluntary deportations took place, and how many involuntary deportations have taken place in respect of those 2,846 people? And could he just add in, does deportation end, does the making of a deportation order end the right to accommodation immediately? Third point is in relation to the number of international protection applicants. The Minister's predecessor, Minister O'Gorman, a couple of years ago spoke about a new normal of 30,000. This is excluding Romanians. It looks to me as if it's in the order of 15,000 at the moment, or thereabouts, per annum. Two things I want to ask the Minister in relation to that. Minister McEntee, when she was the Minister's immediate predecessor, said that 80% of international protection applicants applying from Ireland have travelled through the United Kingdom. Is that still the case, or is it a different proportion? Then finally, as I understand it, the Minister is saying it's costing him $1 billion per annum to accommodate Ukrainian people receiving protection from the Ukrainian war, plus $1.2 billion for others. Am I right in thinking that this is an annual budget for accommodation of over €2.2 billion? Could the Minister confirm that? And finally, the Minister has mentioned the rate card. Is that published? Is it available for the public to see?
Thank you, Senator.
I can do them slightly reversed. The rate card isn't published. It's not available for the public to see. You're correct about the 2 points.
It's not published.
It's not published.
Is there any reason for that?
Because it's confidential in terms of we don't want people who are coming in that we're negotiating with to see that we have a rate card. We have an internal basis of assessing what we should offer per person per night to an individual, and putting it out into the public domain, I think we would believe would be commercially naive of us. You're correct about the 2.2 billion. That's what we spent in 2024 on international protection accommodation and Ukrainian accommodation. You also asked about, Deputy Minister O'Gorman said 30,000 was the new normal. You see it as being maybe 15,000. I still think those numbers are too high. Yeah. And I think what we have seen in the years where there was the surge, 2022, 23 and 24, may have been a consequence from what was happening in as a result of the COVID years where people didn't come through. But I certainly want to see numbers under 10,000. It's difficult for that to be controlled, but in terms of measures that they introduce, I think that is an effective way of trying to do it. You spoke about deportation orders as well, Senator McDowell. There were 3,029 deportation orders issued this year. In terms of the number of voluntary returns, there has been 1,159 voluntary returns, and there have been 278 enforced deportations, whether by charter or private or self-deportations. In total this year, we've had seen 1,461 repatriations in terms of what you said. In terms of doorsteps at Dublin Airport, they have been very effective in terms of seeking to prevent people arriving into the country without documentation. There have been 4,154 doorsteps carried out this year to the end of August 2025. You also asked about my predecessor's comment about the majority of people coming seeking international protection here, whether or not they're coming through Dublin Airport or whether or not we believe they're coming over the border. It's now the situation in 2025 up to the 19th of September that 87.66% of applicants for international protection make their applications at the IPO office. We believe that is indicative that a number very close to that amount.
What was that percentage, sorry?
87.66%. So that suggests, and I think it's a fairly strong basis to suggest it, that the overwhelming majority of people who are claiming international protection in Ireland are arriving in over the border. They're coming from the United Kingdom, arriving into Northern Ireland and coming down claiming international protection in Ireland. The reason we say that is because if somebody arrives into Dublin Airport or one of the ports and they wanted to claim asylum, they would do it there and then in the ports or the airports. So if we're trying to identify the makeup of international protection applicants, it is clearly the case that most are coming from Britain. That makes it difficult for us. We fought for very many years, appropriately and successfully, to keep the border open. But obviously the common travel area is an agreement for the benefit of citizens of Ireland and the UK. It is not for the benefit of citizens of other jurisdictions. So it is unlawful for persons outside of Ireland, the UK citizenship, to travel across the border like that. But it does indicate, Senator McDougall, that a significant amount of, I suppose, the issues we have to deal with derive from the UK. And can I just say, when I meet my UK counterpart, similarly, they have concerns about people arriving into Dublin, going up to Belfast and going over to the UK that way. You also spoke about if an asylum applicant arrived, got their status in Ireland, could they travel back to the country whence they came, or from where they came. If they're in Irish, if they get citizenship, obviously they're allowed to travel everywhere. If they get asylum, they're entitled to have asylum here, but that won't get them into another country. Like they can't, or they shouldn't, be seeking asylum in other countries. In terms of going back to the country from where they claimed asylum, that is not something, I suppose it looks like it's contradictory in terms of what they made out in their application, but it is not something that I have information on. That is happening in practice.
It does seem a bit ridiculous that you'd come from country A, you won't mention a particular country, and fly backwards and forwards to do business and all the rest of it.
Well, it certainly would undermine the veracity of your claim.
There was just one question there that I think the committee would benefit in relation to those with a deportation order in terms of their right to accommodation or the...
Yeah, that's a very good point. Sorry, that was the one I missed. In terms of a deportation order, there are a small number of people in IPAS who have a deportation order served upon them. And in terms of giving effect to that, they can be removed from the country. I changed the law so that people can be detained not just for 7 days, but now for 42 days. But if you're in IPAS accommodation, you're not entitled to be there if you have a deportation order on you. You've been refused permission to be here. And similarly, as if you've been granted, you should move on, and in this instance, move out of the country. And that's why we give effect to enforced deportations.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Minister.